very briefly just introduce myself. I have 3 businesses. We specialise in outsource services and claims. We have a technology business that sells claims solutions, and I have a data business that sells weather data. And I've got to fully admit now, even though I appreciate I'm a claims tech business, insure tech, I'm no expert in any of those. So why am I here? For me, it's about business. It's the entrepreneurship, the building businesses, and that's what fascinates me. So I'm very keen. You've got Josh and Nicola. They're going to come up. So please come up. Yeah. For me, I want to get under the skin about just about the businesses. Is about purpose for me. It's all about purpose. I think any founder or entrepreneur I've spoken to has a real clear vision on purpose. And for me, purpose creates the ability to solve problems. It creates the ability to overcome challenges, because I think any entrepreneur will always have challenges. It's what makes us succeed, I think. And finally, I think it gives us vision. So I'll shut up now, and and maybe you guys can just briefly introduce yourselves.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, Jeremy. Hi, guys. So I'm Nicola. I'm one of the co-founders at Scrub. My background is insurance. So I used to work as an open market property underwriter for a Lloyd's syndicate. I was there for nearly 7 years. And I left nearly 4 years ago now to start Scrub. I'll pass there.
Yeah. And Josh?
And my name's Josh Macabuag. I'm actually an engineer by background, and then a PhD in catastrophe modelling, followed by NatCat R&D in a number of companies throughout the market, which, as we all know, means pulling apart RMS and AAR models and really understanding, and of course every vendor model in the market, and really understanding the nuts and bolts of them. And then I brought that experience to being the Chief Product Officer and co-founder of RenewRisk, starting 3 years ago.
Amazing, thank you. And this is why I wanted to clarify myself as not being an expert, because these guys are definitely is very impressive. So why don't we start, Nicola, with the problem you're trying to solve in the industry, or any?
Yeah, definitely. I think it sums up to say the problem we're trying to solve, or the problem we're solving, is how costly and inefficient data cleaning is and data preparation is in the insurance industry. It's estimated that $3 to $5 billion is spent every year on data preparation and data cleaning in insurance. And it's currently an incredibly manual process. So it's done by in-house teams, huge in-house teams who sit there and manually clean up the spreadsheet data, or it's outsourced. And the consequence of it being manual and done by people is that it's slow, it's very costly, and it's also prone to human error. And I speak from experience when I say that, because when I was training to be an underwriter, the first couple of years as an underwriting assistant, I spent 50% of my time manually cleaning spreadsheets, specifically SOVs, or schedules of values for those of that means something to go into RMS. And it kind of blew my mind how manual the process is, and that nothing's ever been done about it. So I left my job as an underwriter to do something about it, and that's what we're doing at Scrub, is we are automating it. So we've focused initially on the exposure data that is received by underwriters and cat modelling teams that's needed to price business and cat model. And we've trained over 50 bespoke machine learning models to automatically be able to clean this data and to understand it and output it into whatever format the client might need.
Wow. I mean, I'm really interested in digging a little bit further in that in a sec, because, from my perspective, and I've hold my hands up here, saying I've got a technology business, on the other side I've got a claims business, and spreadsheets are the bane of my life. And I won't admit outside this room, but there's way too many in my business.
Yeah.
So
yes.
I'm really curious to get under the skin of that. Josh, and what's the problem that you're looking to solve?
Okay, so for RenewRisk, the problem we're looking at is really about the challenges to the renewable energy sector and the huge opportunities that the rapid growth in renewables brings to insurers and other sectors as well. So to give the example of offshore wind, give a tangible example, at the beginning of last year in the US, there were 7 wind turbines in the water for offshore. So not wind farms, but wind turbines, there were 7. We at RenewRisk, we produce catastrophe models for offshore wind farms with roadmap into other renewables as well. And we worked on a number of placements, insurance placements for new wind farms in the US last year. Just one of those wind farms was for 176 turbines, each of them more than twice the size of the existing turbine. So the tops of the blades of these 2 new turbines are approaching 230 meters, which is about the height of the Leadenhall building. So you've got 176 Leadenhall buildings being built up to 100 kilometers out to sea. And this is new technology that's being built in earthquake and hurricane regions for the first time in the entire sector's history. So the challenge that insurers have, you have the huge opportunities of that growth, but the challenge is, well, you don't actually have commercially available catastrophe models in these areas of peak exposure growth, by which I mean the Northeast US and Asia, which means what most carriers are doing to model these multi-billion-dollar risks is model some industrial asset at the nearest point onshore. But for multi-billion-dollar assets, up to 100 kilometers offshore, that's a huge gap, and one that we're filling at RenewRisk by building the world's first commercially available cat models built specifically for offshore wind farms, really diving into the vulnerability, really diving into every aspect that's specific to that asset class offshore, and then kicking out everything that's needed for underwriting workflows, for pricing, capacity, and capital.
Wow. And like with, I think there's something like, 50 countries going through political changes. Like, do you see that as a really opportunity or risk kind of to where you are with people's attitudes maybe?
Yeah, I mean the renewable energy sector is a big topic to discuss, but the example I gave in the US, that's one wind farm of several, and a similar story around the world, right? So the challenges that the industry is seeing is the renewable energy industry is seeing things like, when I say exponential growth, it's not a curve like this, it's a very bumpy curve. There's ups and downs, there's delays in the States, there's other issues with supply chains and so on and so forth. But the need for energy security and the shift to the green economy is something that's not going away. So that's why it's always that upward curve. Similar story around the world. You have challenges within the insurance sector specifically where you have different kind of underwriting pressures that are different in different parts of the world. So, for example, in Europe and America, then there is there's a potential for a lot of capacity to be available in the market where carriers want to be writing for ESG reasons and they want to be getting on top of that. And then and that has its own pressures on pricing. And then in Asia, there's more of a reluctance due to, again, the heightened sensitivity towards NatCat, earthquake and hurricane. And in both of those cases, modeling and being able to quantify decision-making around pricing, setting of limits, it's a real issue that needs to be addressed, and it's one that I think is well received.
Yeah, well, thank you. And Nicola, building a business, in terms of what do you find your sort of biggest challenges, either from your building the business or from the market's perspective? Yeah,
I think I wrote down about 10 different challenges that immediately sprung to my mind when you asked me this. There's a couple we can talk about. One that comes up a lot, which I'll park, but we can come back to, is sort of everyone's talking about Gen AI, and we are leveraging a lot of machine learning. And we even talked about this earlier, sort of talking about hallucinations and how we ensure we're not prone to that. So we'll park that, we can come back to that. But what I would say as well, since we started 4 years ago, is we learned very quickly that all of our clients clean data in a completely different way. They all have their own sort of set rules that they need applied to the clean data, because some of them sort of think it's a secret source. Okay, great, no worries. What that means is, and also to add that, we output as standard sort of to RMS, to AIR, OED, SQL Impact, but we also integrate with clients' pricing platforms and quote and bind platforms. And so that requires a custom output format for each one of those that are unique. So it's definitely been something we've been thinking about over the last 6 months is how do we ensure we continue to deliver exactly what our clients need and the outputs that they want, but in a way that is very scalable for us, because at the moment that can take quite a long time for our techs to put together. So one of the things that we're going to be doing in the next 6 months is just releasing a portal on the platform, which is sort of low code, no code, or just very low touch, where clients can go in and build their own output formats, which is what they want. So I'll pause there and we can come back to hallucinations if you want.
Well, I might pick your brains outside of this.
Yeah.
In terms of, that is the challenge, certainly from a technology perspective, is like, how do you deal with the very different demands from different clients? And so, Josh, and any other challenges that face you?
I guess. Okay, so challenges. I spoke about challenges to the sector, challenges to within insurance, challenges to us as a startup. I mean, we're 3 years old. We are, I always forget the exact numbers of how many people we are. We're 4 founders, 7 employees, and around 15 or so contractors that kind of come in and out, and that's been quite a nice trajectory. And where we are now is we went through the Lloyd's Lab last year, which was fantastic. And that was excellent exposure to speak to the majority of the energy teams around the market, if not all of them, around the London market. And the challenges faced by us is really identifying those early adopters. I say early because it's not really that early, because renewables is growing very rapidly, and most energy teams recognize that the traditional upstream oil and gas energy markets are somewhat stagnating. So they are keen to jump in renewables, but our challenge is to identify those that are willing to get ahead of the analytics, because many of them say, okay, well, let's wait until a few more have been built, and let's wait till a few more hurricanes have gone through. But then some are really getting ahead and saying, you know what, it takes time to get ahead of the analytics and onboard new models and understand it and understanding our workflows. And then we're really, really picking out those that just want to get ahead and just want to make the most of the opportunity before others do.
Brilliant, thanks. As one of the things that really fascinates me, I love asking this question to entrepreneurs, is about the vision, the future. What does great look like? Because I think, it doesn't matter about restraints or, finances or resources. What does great look like?
I can start.
It could be in 1 year, 5 years, future,
Yeah. I think for us, the vision, we've always been very true to the tech and very heavy sort of in our machine learning engineers and investing in that talent. And we've got a fantastic team. And the thing that we're most excited about and our vision is that we build a platform and we build out the machine learning and the machine learning infrastructure so it becomes so generalizable that anybody in any industry can just drop a spreadsheet into the platform and instantly clean it into whatever format they need. I mean, how cool? I mean, I think that's cool. How cool would that be? So that's really where we want to go with this. And in order to get there, we keep moving to new problems as well, to keep training machine learning models, keep making them more generalizable. So for example, as we were talking about earlier, we've just launched a sister platform, which also cleans up messy premium and claims data. So, yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, it doesn't have to, it could be industry agnostic, couldn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah, I like that. I'm a buyer. Josh, how about you?
The vision for us is, the big vision for us is to revolutionize risk analytics and resilience for renewable energy to enable the transition to a sustainable economy. And for us, that means the global ecosystem of risk analytics for renewable energy assets, offshore, onshore, wind and solar. And we've started with offshore wind, earthquake and hurricane. We're moving into Europe and Euro winds. And we're road mapping to our onshore renewables as well. And we're kicking off a funding round later in the year to really give us that expansion, to really help us build on the exposure that we've had through the lab and through the excellent early adopters that we've had so far.
Amazing. It sounds really exciting. You both got businesses that feel like there's untapped markets, which is exciting to hear. Also full of opportunities, and obviously you got to navigate yourself through those risks as well. So amazing. Thanks very much. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.